So Gypsy Rose Blanchard might become totally unrecognizable after she decided to get a major nose job, which she says is all a part of her personal transformation. She recently opened up about her rhinoplasty, which she got on April 5th. Gypsy said that it went great, and while she was in pain at first, she's now on pain medicine for that, and it's gotten much better. She had previously said that she wanted to change the shape and the look of her nose, all as a part of a personal transformation journey that also includes a physical one. Apparently she'd been wanting to undergo the procedure for a while, and though she said that she can't breathe through her nose yet because of the packing, that will soon be removed this week. And so far there's already been tons of speculation as to what she will look like after the surgery, but that makes sense considering the fact that changing your nose gives you a totally different appearance. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes from that. But the rhinoplasty isn't the only change that Gypsy has recently undergone. A few weeks ago, she announced that she had separated from her husband Ryan Anderson, saying that she needs time to let herself find who she is. She made it sound like she needs to do a little bit of soul searching, but at the same time she was also spotted spending time with her former fiance Ken Urker. Ryan Anderson broke his silence just 2 weeks after it was announced that they were getting a divorce. He says that he is not doing well right now and that the divorce just came out of the blue. He was apparently blindsided over how quickly Gypsy had jumped back into a relationship with her former fiance. He said, "I had no idea that she still had such strong feelings for him. I haven't spoken to her, so I just don't know what's going on. I'm at a loss. I'm really not doing well at all." In a TikTok video, he thanked his supporters who had sent him words of encouragement during the hard times. He said, "Hey everyone, I just want to say thank you for the support and the nice messages that I've been getting from people." Ryan recorded this video at his friend's house, and he says that he's been living his life and promised that people will soon see what really happened between him and Gypsy. As for Gypsy, she seems to be taking the situation a lot better. She made her own announcement online by saying, "People have been asking what is going on in my life. Unfortunately, my husband and I are going through a separation, and I moved in with my parents down home the Bayou. I have the support of my family and my friends to help guide me through this. I'm learning to listen to my heart. Right now, I need time to find myself and find who I am." Then a few days later, she was spotted holding Ken Urker's hand as they stepped out to run a few errands in South Louisiana. So it's no surprise that the cheating rumors have been going around non-stop. But things took a shocking turn when one of Gypsy's friends, a tattoo artist, alleged that she locked herself in the bathroom while Ryan was banging on the door late at night. Speaking about this incident, the friend claimed that he would get in Gypsy's face and just scream at her, and at this time, Gypsy was worried that things would eventually turn violent. Afterward, Gypsy said that she left the property and drove to her father Rod and stepmother Christy's home. Quote, "So her first instinct was to tighten up and be prepared, but she got to safety and called her lawyer too. Ryan is a big guy, and she said that it was really scary. In terms of her seeing someone new, her friend also said that people should just let Gypsy be Gypsy. Quote, "My main message is people need to let her live, let her experience. If they know that she's doing something good or wrong, let her experience that. Let her learn from it. I feel like in a way people are still trying to control her." Gypsy's cousin also spoke about their marriage and said that the relationship between them was never genuine, and over time her husband had become more controlling and more insecure. But it's not just the divorce or the cosmetic surgery. Gypsy has also been acting really strange on social media too. Even before all this, she seemed to be focused on deleting a lot of her old content and arguing with people in the comments section about random things. Gypsy Rose wiped her social media accounts and also announced that she will be offering content on Cameo for a price. The bio of her Cameo page says that she's an influencer and that you can message her for $20 or request a personal video for $100. The videos that she's offering include birthdays, Valentine's Day, pep talk, roast, advice, and questions. Gypsy used to have a ton of posts on her Instagram and TikTok page, but now both accounts are left with just a few posts. Some of these posts include her talking about being an advocate for Munchausen syndrome by proxy, information about her documentary with Lifetime, and how she got a haircut to donate her hair. The same thing goes for her TikTok, but with even less content. The page only has 3 posts that are copied from her Instagram. She did not say why she scrubbed her socials all of a sudden, but it seemed like she wanted to get that clean slate. She also released a documentary and an ebook about her life that was the main focus after prison. So clearly Gypsy really wants a chance to tell her side of the story in a way that she never has before. But sadly, she found out that social media is not exactly the way to do it. I mean, people are very nasty in her comment section, and obviously she does read the comments. Aside from that, there was also a lot of drama between her and Joey King. So Joey King famously betrayed Gypsy in Hulu's The Act, but she didn't speak with her before taking on this big role. Now, the actress has said that she has finally been able to have a private conversation with Gypsy. Back in 2019, Joey garnered critical acclaim and several award nominations for her portrayal, but the real Gypsy was not a fan of that series. While she was still in prison, she called out the show and said that she had never been approached by the team, nor did she consent for it to be made. So they basically took her story and decided to tell it without consulting her at all. As a result, a lot of speculation has surfaced online that Gypsy might have had some negative feelings towards Joey. But now Joey confirmed that the two of them have spoken since she was released from prison, and she's insisting that there is no bad blood there. In her Variety interview, she said, "She and I have privately talked a little bit, which has been really nice." Although she didn't exactly say what they spoke about, she did confirm that there is no beef between them. Joey said, "Having that private conversation with her was really lovely. We both know that there's absolutely no ill will towards one another. I really appreciated that we got to say those things to each other, that we were just really sweet and supportive, because people are stupid and people assume whatever they want, and people are just gonna make up stuff because it's funny to them." She went on to say, "There was no air to clear at all. There was nothing wrong. But it was so nice to just connect for a minute. I think it's so great that she's free and she can really start her life now." While she has criticized the Hulu series, Gypsy never actually shared anything negative about Joey. Not only that, but she liked the fact that she played her in the show. It's not exactly who she pictured telling her story, but she didn't really seem to be overly upset about the decision. When she spoke to Access Hollywood, Gypsy said that she thought Joey did a good job of mimicking her very distinctive voice. Quote, "I'm sure that Joey did an amazing job playing me. I actually heard an audio clip of her doing my voice and I think she got it spot on." She did have another actress in mind though if she were to tell her story in a future project, and you never guess who she wants to play her. Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. For whatever reason, she thinks that Millie would do a great job playing her, even if the resemblance isn't exactly spot on. But who knows, with all these projects going on, Gypsy might get the opportunity to cast for her very own TV show. It would be interesting to see a true crime thriller that was actually made with the person at the center of the story. Gypsy has also spoken up about the biggest misconception in her case, which she still says is the way that her mother was portrayed on screen. She said, "I think people tend to forget, or maybe they don't even know, that the reason why my mom was able to snowblind the doctors so much and the community is because she was so friendly. In the shows they're portraying her as mean all of the time, and that's just not how she was." According to Gypsy, she was also very charming and very relatable, and she would give a hug to anyone. Though of course in reality she was a different person entirely. Now, even if Gypsy doesn't manage to make her own project, she's clearly trying to put out positive content into the world and use her platform for good. She recently updated fans on her dramatic hair transformation, which she did for a really good cause. She took to Instagram and TikTok to share that she had cut off 8 inches of her hair. In her post, she included a selfie with her new look, captioned with the hashtag "Express Yourself" and a photo of her chopped off strands. She wrote, "It's never too late to start reinventing yourself, even if it is something subtle like a new hairstyle. To all the girls, boys, and non-binary, enjoy your life, express yourself in whatever creative ways makes you happy. Life is too short to hide your beauty. Let the world see you shine." She then filmed a TikTok video explaining her reason for the major change, saying, "So what I've been wanting to do for a very long time is to donate my hair to a charity that makes wigs for people that have hair loss or that are going through cancer. I've had my own personal experience with hair loss, not by means of health reasons, but if you know my story, you're very familiar with those reasons why." So she decided to donate her locks to a charity called The Great Cut, which provides hair replacements to children with medically related hair loss at zero cost to their families. And despite all the chaos going on in her life at the moment, she seems to have made a very good decision there, and a selfless one too.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard has officially deleted her social media, but before she did, she issued a public apology. Although the video had has since been deleted, we do know what was said in it. Why did Gypsy feel the need to issue an apology in the first place? Let's talk about that. Gypsy was believed to be in hot water after speaking out against a skeptic who called Gypsy a master manipulator and basically implied that she was the mastermind behind her mother's demise, who knew exactly what she was doing all along. She wasn't as much the victim everyone made her out to be, according to Brittany. Brittany_Ike on TikTok claimed that Gypsy lived nearby and the thought of running into Gypsy scared her. After looking into Gypsy's case, Brittany felt that Gypsy manipulated her then boyfriend Nicholas into taking her mother Dee Dee's life, knowing full well what she was doing. Brittany claimed that Gypsy took advantage of Nicholas Godjon, using him merely as a tool to eliminate her mother. Some others online have also subscribed to this narrative, pointing out inconsistencies they've noticed in Gypsy's story. At one point, Gypsy responded by calling out Brittany in the comments. In her response, she gave the area she lived in and then made a challenging remark in all caps. Bet you won't say it to my face, go on. Some have said this comment could be taken as a threat, and as Gypsy is still on parole after being released from her sentence early, might be enough to actually land her back in jail. This is likely the kind of behavior that Gypsy is referring to in her since deleted social media apology. It went, of course, along with all her social media posts when she deleted her social media. In the apology, Gypsy Rose Blanchard stated that she felt regret and that she wanted to apologize to all the people she offended with a lack of accountability. She went on to say that accountability was so important for her and that she acknowledged that what she had done was bad. She said she did take accountability and acknowledged that she had been given a second chance at life. She also said she wanted to take steps forward and thanked everyone for hearing her out. Let my actions match my words and we'll go from there. I definitely have a good support system and I think I'm just now starting to get around to listening to my inner self instead of all the noise that's been on social media. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching and hearing me out. After making that post, later on during the same evening, Gypsy Rose deleted her social media across all platforms. A source reportedly told People that the apology post was actually recommended by Gypsy's parole officer, so she won't get in trouble and go back to jail. Who is Gypsy Rose Blanchard and why do so many people care about her social media and what she has to say on it? Gypsy Rose was believed to be a victim of Munchausen by proxy, a mental illness basically where a primary caregiver uses the person that they're caring for to get attention themselves. In Gypsy's case, her mother Dee Dee was the one who is believed to have had this condition, and it drove her to feign and make up illnesses for her daughter. Gypsy stated in court that her mother made her believe she suffered from cancer, specifically leukemia, muscular dystrophy, made her believe that she needed glasses and hearing aids, and made her also believe she had a seizure disorder. Dee Dee shaved Gypsy's head to make her seem like a cancer patient. She administered Orajel to her mouth to make her salivate excessively, convincing medical professionals that Gypsy actually needed her salivary glands removed, something she'll have to live without for the rest of her life. In fact, Dee Dee convinced medical professionals to not just perform one surgery on her daughter, but multiple, convincing them that she had multiple ailments. If a doctor started to become skeptical, she apparently would just simply refuse their opinion and then move on until she found another doctor who actually believed her. This also had gone on since Gypsy was a baby, with Dee Dee convincing people that her baby actually had sleep apnea, and even convinced Gypsy's father, Rod, that Gypsy was actually born with a chromosomal disorder, which led to many different health issues and complications, hence why Gypsy suffered from so many illnesses. In reality, Gypsy was perfectly healthy. It wasn't until she started getting older that Gypsy started to realize her mother had lied to her and manipulated her for her own gain. Pretty messed up. Gypsy conspired with an online boyfriend at the time, Nicholas Nick Godjon, and convinced him to help Gypsy escape by coming to her home and eliminating her mother. He attacked Dee Dee while she slept and the two escaped together back to Nick's home, but were of course eventually tracked down and arrested by the authorities. Gypsy would plead guilty in court to second-degree murder as part of a plea bargain. In exchange for pleading guilty, Gypsy Rose received only 10 years in prison with the chance of parole. She was released earlier, which I think honestly is even a little bit crazy, because what Gypsy went through in her life, not that I'm saying that it warrants, murder, but it sounds honestly really terrible. Gypsy was released earlier in later 2023 on December 28th, right before New Year's Eve. She took to social media to celebrate her freedom after getting out, even sharing a post that showed her sharing a New Year's kiss with her now husband, Ryan Scott Anderson, whom she married in 2022 while she was still incarcerated. Gypsy also claimed during her time in prison that she actually had more freedom there than she felt she'd had while under the care of her mother Dee Dee, which is wild to think about. Although she did regret the death of of her mother and her involvement in it, stating on Dr. Phil that while she was glad that she was out of the situation, she was not happy her mother was dead. Nick Godjohn, on the other hand, was found guilty of first-degree murder in 2018 and was sentenced to life in prison for his part in the crime. Gypsy has had her story adapted multiple times, in some cases without her even giving consent to use her name and even tell her story, like with the miniseries The Act, which was released in 2019 and was made without Gypsy Rose's blessing or her consent. Co-produced by BuzzFeed journalist Michelle Dean, who wrote the initial viral article about Gypsy Rose's and Dee Dee's story.
So I'm guessing when Gypsy said that Dee was fire, she literally meant it was fire, because after 2 months of her being released from prison, rumors already started to flood the internet that Gypsy Rose was pregnant. This rumor started when Gypsy Rose and her husband Ryan Anderson appeared virtually at a panel for the documentary. And while they were there and being interviewed, Ryan actually said that since his wife's release, he's been enjoying doing typical marriage activities such as grocery shopping. He stated, "I wanted Gypsy to feel free to get whatever she wanted," before sharing one specific purchase. He said, "I'm going to tell them," before saying, "You bought baby clothes for a future baby." And I was like, we're not there yet, slow down. So immediately I can debunk those rumors and say, no, she's not pregnant. But she has purchased baby clothes for a potential future baby. This wasn't the only rumor I saw, because I've seen so many variations of this video. Yeah, pregnancy rumors and divorce rumors. But no need to Google and figure out divorce rumors, because I did that for you, and yeah, no need to thank me, I know. I did one search and found absolutely nothing except for TikTok videos of people saying that Gypsy's both divorced and pregnant at the same time, but not actually any evidence or information other than people spreading the same line over and over again. Also, this was just not the first time the two have been rumored to having a baby together. In an Instagram post by Gypsy and Lifetime, Gypsy could only be seen from her shoulders up, which people began to speculate she was hiding her stomach area. One person commented under this video, writing, "I have a feeling she's pregnant," and another responded by saying, "I was thinking the same thing." Gypsy has previously spoken about potentially starting a family with Ryan, and that's when she said, "I'm gonna have kids one day, and I'm gonna have to explain to my kids why their grandmother on mom's side isn't around." And that's going to be a really hard conversation, because I'm sure you've heard about Gypsy's childhood by now, and all the events that led her to plot how she and her boyfriend at the time, Nicholas Godejohn, would take Dee Dee's life. And recently, Gypsy and Ryan were both interviewed by ET's Rachel Smith, and they sat down to discuss their high-profile and, of course, headline-grabbing relationship, as well as their plans for the future altogether. Although Gypsy and Ryan tied the knot back in July of 2022, while Gypsy was still behind bars, since her release, they've been spending quality time together, but still, the transition Gypsy and Ryan both have to make as their relationship now is very different than it was before. Plus, Gypsy has never really been quote-unquote free, because since she was born, her mother basically controlled a lot of her everyday activities, as she wasn't allowed to socialize with certain people, and it was like her mother Dee Dee monitored a lot of her choices. And she also spent years behind bars, and now she's finally out. It must take a lot of adjusting to learn things once again. Even before she was sent to prison, her life was anything but normal, so trying to adjust to everything now is honestly probably very difficult. During this interview, they talked about settling into married life as the two now live together. They cooked their first dinner together, and Gypsy said it was fun and they're still learning about one another. Ryan also discussed how because the two of them got married while Gypsy was still in jail, she was able to live with Ryan straight out of prison, and it was important for them because that's what they wanted. But a lot of people wonder if this was the best decision, because some thought she should try and live her life on her own to embrace her freedom before fully settling down. But Gypsy expressed that she spent 8.5 years in prison, which she was all alone for, and she was tired of sleeping in bed by herself, tired of feeling like she had no one to share memories with, and she always just knew that she did want someone to share it with, and now she does know who. Gypsy was actually quite the prize to hundreds of men because while she was still behind bars, she would have hundreds and hundreds of men who would contact her, but she felt a special connection with Ryan. Gypsy saw Ryan's letter he wrote for her after he watched her interview, and in his letter, he wrote about how he was from Louisiana, which is where Gypsy is also originally from, and so she wrote back. They ended up becoming friends and now lovers. Plus, when Gypsy received her wedding ring from Ryan, the two felt like it was a sign of fate because the ring was Ryan's mother's ring and it was passed down to Gypsy. And it actually fit perfectly. They didn't even have to adjust it or anything at all, which made them feel like their love was meant to be. They were also asked about potentially expanding their family one day, which Gypsy said, despite all the trauma and challenges in her own childhood, she isn't against the idea of having kids one day. Spoiler alert, this interview occurred before the whole baby clothes news broke out. But Gypsy shared how both her and Brian have talked about starting a family, they just don't feel like it's the right time right now. Gypsy feels like her life is kind of hectic, and so they're taking this day by day. Plus, she also said that they're trying to start off their marriage on a good foot before bringing kids into the situation right now, and personally, I think this sounds like a very responsible thing to do. It's definitely important to have a good relationship and stable home before welcoming a baby. Plus, these two are learning to live with each other. Imagine adding a newborn baby into this mix. Although they want to one day have a child of their own, right now doesn't seem like the right time, as the two expressed they hope for a family one day. However, they did welcome a different type of baby into the world, which I personally believe is the superior baby. And that, of course, was a puppy. She shared a video onto Instagram of her 8-week-old black and white puppy named Pixie, and the caption read, "Puppy parents." The puppy is a Malshi, which is a Maltese Shih Tzu mix, and she is so adorable. I love dogs, but one person, or should I say organization, that wasn't so happy about this news was PETA. And no, not Josh Hutcherson's character from the Hunger Games, silly. They commented under Gypsy's post of her puppy, writing, "So sweet, if you add to your family, please adopt from a local shelter in the future." And Gypsy even acknowledges that having a baby right now isn't the best idea, and she also said that the two of them wanted something that they can both kind of have to take care of and to add to their family, but because they weren't ready for a baby yet, this was the next best thing. We are about to time travel back some years because Gypsy and Nicholas Godejohn apparently talked about having a baby as well as an alternative way to get Dee Dee's approval of their relationship. So when the two met on a Christian dating site, they began to talk, and that is when Gypsy asked Nick to ultimately help her take her own mother's life because she couldn't do it herself. And in a Dr. Phil interview from 2017, Gypsy said she asked Nick after she got into an argument with her mother over her feeding tube, which we all know now she never needed. But before this plan, their original plan was to run away together and actually try to get Gypsy pregnant so her mom would be forced to let Nick into her life. We all know that didn't happen, and Nick said the reason why the original plan didn't go through was because they didn't get a chance to go down that route because of the limited time they had, as he added that there was no way that it would have been possible. Nick also added that him and Gypsy wanted a baby, they wanted to get married, they wanted to be together forever, but the only thing in the middle blocking these two from doing what they wanted was Dee Dee. Dee Dee actually found Nick creepy because he showed up as an adult man to a Missouri movie screening of the Cinderella film. He took a bus from Wisconsin to attend in order to try and impress Gypsy's mother, who was far from impressed. In fact, Dee Dee didn't want her daughter to be dating anyone, which Gypsy recounted when she was 19. She attempted to run away, but when her mom found her and brought her back home, she chained Gypsy for 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, Dee Dee ran some errands and bought home a few items, such as a cow tongue. And she took the cow tongue and placed it in a mason jar with a photo of Gypsy and the photo of the guy she ran off with, and even added a bit of Gypsy's time of the month, if you know what I mean. Dee Dee then took this jar and buried it somewhere in their backyard and told Gypsy she would never find love and that she would never be happy. To this day, Gypsy believes the curse was real because every time she seems to be getting close to someone, they end up leaving her. An example was her former fiance, Ken, who was engaged to Gypsy in 2019 before she met Ryan, and Ken ended up calling it quits to their relationship. But before Ken called things off, Nick actually heard about her engagement to Ken, and reportedly after Nick heard about this, he proposed to Gypsy himself and gave her an ultimatum. Gypsy said that Nick's ultimatum was that he would give her 1 month to choose between him and Ken, but in the end she decided to stick with Ken and leave Nick in the past. But now we all know she's married to Fire D Ryan because that's how everyone remembers her husband now. For her comments about his apparent huge personality, of course, and I think we all know why Gypsy Rose is quite the controversial figure. I mean, it's hard to not sympathize with her knowing what she's gone through as a child, but it's also been a hot topic whether Gypsy should be living a very public, almost celebrity lifestyle just following the release of prison. Many believe it's probably best for her to seek support and therapy from behind the scenes because she has a lot to heal from instead of making everything so public, because we all know how the internet works and it's not the best for making your mental health any better. Plus, she's already been so-called cancelled once on Instagram after she posted a shout out for her young nephew who asked for the shout out, but he was young and people in the comments were warning her about safety, especially because we all know she met Nick on the internet and the two ended up behind bars. Gypsy's entire presence is honestly controversial because a lot of people seem to be split on whether she was able to actually escape her mother's control without doing what she ended up doing, and I think a lot of people just want her to be off the internet. But as of now, no baby is on the way, and instead, Gypsy hopes she'll be able to travel when she's off of probation. She hopes to visit Rome and Switzerland specifically, but currently her life is too hectic for a day job, but she did entertain the idea of potentially being a hair or makeup stylist or even working in retail, which is probably a better idea than being an influencer. Did you hear about these pregnancy rumors or even divorce rumors? It seems like every day I log on to TikTok, there is just more and more rumors surrounding Gypsy Rose, so don't be surprised if I tell you she gets a pet unicorn next.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard has deleted Instagram and TikTok, and even before that, she seemed to be focused on deleting a lot of her content and arguing with people in the comments section of her videos. It's pretty tough to see, but clearly she's going through a moment where she decided that social media is toxic. Now it seems like everyone has a theory on why she is the way she is and what on earth she's doing. One person wrote, Gypsy likely has a personality disorder. She spent a good portion of her time out of prison on her social media instead of getting to know herself, her family, and healing her life. It's sad and I don't see her ever maturing. Another person wrote, well, she came flying out of the gate and learning the hard way about social media, people's opinions, etc. Not sure why she's advocating for her mother. So yes, she has severe issues. Gypsy Rose wiped her social media accounts and then also announced that she will be offering content on Cameo at a price. The bio of her Cameo page says that she's an influencer and that you can message her for $20 or request a personal video for $100. The videos she's offering include birthdays, Valentine's Day, pep talks, roasts, advice, and questions. Gypsy used to have a ton of posts on her Instagram and TikTok, but now both of those accounts are left with just a few. Her Instagram account now only has 6 posts, some of them talking about being an advocate for Munchausen by proxy, information about her documentary with Lifetime, and how she got a haircut to donate her hair. That same goes for her TikTok, but with less content. The page only has 3 posts now that are copies from her Instagram. She didn't say why she scrubbed her socials all of a sudden, but it looks like she now wants a clean slate. She also released a documentary and an ebook about her life that was her main focus after prison, so clearly she wants a chance to tell her side of the story in a way that she never really has before. But sadly, Gypsy found out that social media is not always the way to do it. I mean, people are very nasty in her comment section, and obviously she does read the comments. And we'll get back to that a little bit later on, because there's also a lot of drama unfolding between her and Joey King at the moment. So Joey King famously portrayed Gypsy in the Hulu series The Act, but she did not speak with her before taking on the role. Now the actress has said that she's finally been able to have a private conversation with Gypsy. Back in 2019, Joey garnered critical acclaim and several award nominations for her portrayal, but the real Gypsy was not really a fan of the series. While she was in prison, Gypsy called out the show and she revealed that she was never approached by the producers and did not consent for it to be made. So they basically took her story from her and decided to tell it without consulting her at all. As a result, a lot of speculation surfaced online that Gypsy might have some kind of a negative feeling towards Joey. And now Joey has finally confirmed that the two of them have spoken since she was released from prison, and she's insisting that there is is no bad blood between them at all. In her new Variety interview, Joey said, "She and I have privately talked a little bit, which has been really nice." And although she didn't say what exactly they spoke about, she did confirm that there is no beef there. Joey said, "Having had that private conversation with her was really lovely. We both know that there's absolutely no ill will towards one another. I really appreciated that we got to say those things to each other that were just really sweet and supportive, because people are stupid and people assume whatever they want, and people are just going to make up stuff because it's funny to them." She went on to say, "There's no air to clear at all. There was nothing wrong, but it was nice to just connect for a minute. I think it's so great because she's free and she can really start her life now." While she has criticized the Hulu series, Gypsy never actually shared anything negative about Joey. Not only that, she liked the fact that she played her in the show. It's not exactly who she pictured telling her story, but she didn't seem to be upset about that decision. When speaking to Access Hollywood, Gypsy said she thought Joey did a good job of mimicking her distinctive voice. Quote, "I'm sure Joey King did an amazing job playing me. I actually heard an audio clip of her doing my voice and I think that she got it spot on." She did have another actress in mind though if she were to tell her story in a future project, and you'll never guess who she wants to play her, Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. For whatever reason, Gypsy thinks that Millie would do a great job playing her, even if the resemblance isn't exactly spot on. And who knows, with all these projects going on, Gypsy might get the opportunity to cast her very own TV series. It would actually be interesting to see a true crime thriller that was made with the person at the center of the story. Gypsy also spoke up about the biggest misconception in her case, which is the way that her mother is constantly being portrayed. She said, "I think people tend to forget, or maybe they don't even know, that the reason why my mom was able to snowblind the doctors so much and the community is because she was so friendly. In the shows, they're portraying her as mean all of the time, and that's just not how she was." According to Gypsy, Dee Dee was very charming, very relatable. She would give a hug to anyone. But of course, in reality, behind closed doors, she was a different person entirely. Now, even if Gypsy doesn't manage to make her own project, she's clearly trying to put out a lot of positive content into the world and use her platform for good. So a few weeks ago, she updated fans on her dramatic hair transformation, which she did for a good cause. She took to TikTok and Instagram to share that she had cut off 8 inches of her hair. In her post, she included a selfie with her new look, captioned with the hashtag #ExpressYourself, and a photo of her chopped off strands. She wrote, "It's never too late to start reinventing yourself, even if it is something subtle like a new hairstyle. To all the girls, boys, and non-binary, enjoy life, express yourself in whatever creative ways makes you happy. Life is too short to hide your beauty, let the world see you shine." She then filmed a TikTok video explaining her reason for this major change. She said, "So what I've been wanting to do for a very long time is to donate my hair to a charity that makes wigs for people that have hair loss or they're going through cancer. I have had my own personal experience with hair loss, not by means of health reasons, but if you know my story, you are very familiar with those reasons why." So she decided to send her looks to a charity called The Great Cut, which provides hair replacements to children with medically related hair loss at zero cost to their families. In one of her more recent TV appearances, Gypsy insisted that her goal was never to gain fame or fortune, but to actually use her story to assist others who are in a similar situation. She said she wanted to work alongside high-profile advocates like Kim Kardashian on prison reform advocacy or become a voice for the voiceless. On her Instagram account, her bio says that she is advocating awareness about Munchausen syndrome by proxy. She also says that she's not doing anything that anybody else wouldn't do by embracing this new viral internet fame that she got when she was released from prison. In an interview with ABC News, she decided to clear up some of the nasty rumors that are being spread about her online. The fact that it's suddenly popular to hate on her and criticize her just because she's well known. In response to this, Gypsy said, "Honestly, I'm a very shy person. I don't think that I'm doing anything that anybody else wouldn't do." She also spent some of the interview defending herself and how she has been publicly boasting about her bedroom life with her new husband Ryan Anderson. She was asked about some of the details that she had previously shared on social media, including that Ryan's you know what was fire, and she said, "Well, I'm a newlywed. I'm newly married and I just came out, so I'm living my best married life with my husband. I don't think that's any different than any other wife would. But the fact that she even needs to defend herself now is pretty crazy. For some reason, Fan decided to flip on Gypsy, and now she seems to have a lot more haters than supporters. She claims that her notorious criminal case vaulted her to a level of fame that she never desired. Even though people might describe her as infamous, she simply says that she is not seeking that attention. Quote, "My mission now is to take what I've done and what my mum did and make it worth something. So I think it's really important for me to get out as much awareness about Munchausen by proxy as I can and really try to focus in on mental health." She went on to say, "I was never one of those children that wanted to be famous. I didn't want to be a singer. I didn't want to be an actress. I wanted to do something that made a difference." Now, as she embarks on her post-prison life, her goal is to do just that. It won't be easy though, considering that people are still trying to pick apart the crime and find all these plot holes in her story, which is insane considering that she's already been to prison for her part in the act. As we know, Gypsy Rose was not actually sick, her mother was. Dee Blanchard had Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which is a mental disorder where a parent exaggerates, fabricates, or induces illness in a person under their care to try and get sympathy or attention. Dee had been making her daughter pass herself off as much younger and pretend to be disabled and chronically ill. She subjected her to unnecessary surgery and medication and controlled her through physical and psychological mistreatment. Gypsy wasn't aware of this, and when she found out that she could actually walk and she didn't have to be in a wheelchair, that's when she came up with her plan to end the life of her mother. After the disclosure of how Dee had treated Gypsy, sympathy for Dee as a victim shifted to her daughter as a long-term victim of her mistreatment. Gypsy is quoted at Nick's trial in 2018 saying, "If it weren't for Nick and how dark he was, I wouldn't have gone through with it." And to this day, she still does blame Nick, even though it was also her idea. Apparently, Nick wanted the crime to be committed in a much more gruesome way. He wanted it to be messy, but Gypsy was headstrong about calling the shots. During the trial, she actually explained how under oath that a tasteless and odorless poison was too hard to find, that arson would be too complicated and a firearm would be too messy. So she ended up stealing a hunting knife from a Walmart, and she mailed Nick more than $1,000 that she stole from Dee. He was to purchase a round-trip bus ticket for himself and a one-way ticket for Gypsy to join him back in Wisconsin. The rest of the money was for food and a room at a nearby Days Inn hotel. Now, what's somewhat funny is that Nick got a harsher sentence than Gypsy, even though she was technically the mastermind. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And that's the part that still doesn't sit right with a lot of true crime fans. They are obsessed with the fact that Gypsy is out of prison now and trying to rebuild her life, while her accomplice will always be behind bars. But there's only so much negativity a person can take, especially if they're new to social media. So it's no surprise that she's decided to leave all of that behind for the time being and focus on something a bit more fulfilling.